are going to draw a seahorse today. We are going to start by making a circle at the top of your paper. We only want to leave a little tiny bit of space before our circle. And I'm going to make it about the size of my fist. And I'm drawing it lightly, super, super lightly with my pencil. Okay, I'll press a little bit harder so you guys can see it. Okay, so you can see I left just an inch or so of space at the top. My circle is about the size of my fist. You guys might want to make it a little bit bigger than your fist because you guys have smaller fists than mine. And we want our seahorse to be pretty big on our paper and take up most of our space. So maybe make it a little bit bigger than your fist. Next, we need to make his body. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start basically on the side of this circle, and you're gonna make this line come down. And you can see I'm already starting to kind of diagonal inwards. It's gonna come kind of inwards and then make a little curve before it goes back out and then makes a big curve at the bottom. And again, you want this to pretty much touch the bottom of your paper too. So it kind of looks like that. Let me press a little bit harder. The rest of it after this step I'll do with Sharpie so you guys can see a little bit better, but parts of these two lines we are gonna have to erase, so that's why I'm pressing lightly. Okay, so right at the side, this is the back of our seahorse head, so right at the side of our seahorse head, it comes down, and then it starts to go inwards, curves in, and then curves way back out into this big like hook shape. And it's really close to the bottom of the paper. Again, about an inch. We want to take up as much space as possible with our seahorses. Okay, and the rest I will do with Sharpie so you guys can see what I'm drawing a bit better. Okay, so for our seahorse stomach, we are going to start right here under his head. And you're gonna start, I'd say about the middle, maybe a little bit further out, but about the middle. And you are going to make a big bump that comes out. And then comes back in like that. Okay. And it's not all the way to the tail, because then what we're going to do is we're going to make this line get closer to this tail and then curve up with it like that. And I might make my tail curve up a little bit more too, like that. Okay, and then out here in front of his face, I'm gonna make a little backwards C shape. Then I'm gonna connect those to the face. So what you wanna do to connect them is you wanna kind of go down and back into the face. So here, I'll just draw both. You want it to be kind of wider at the end and then skinnier, and then it gets kind of a little bit thicker as it touches the head again. Then inside that, I'm going to draw a little oval at the end. And when you get your Sharpie, you can color that in. Now we'll draw your seahorse eye. You're gonna put that pretty close to the middle of the head. Draw a circle. Then we are going to make it look like the eye, the pupil part is at the bottom. So I kind of just made this big round shape because what we're gonna do is we'll add one more little circle in here, and then again, when you get your Sharpie, you're gonna color in this part. So basically you're just kind of trying to make it look like there's this rounded pupil at the bottom of your eye. Okay, now let's make the other part of the tummy. So coming in a little bit further, I'm gonna make a curved line that doesn't curve out quite as far as this one. It's just gonna come slightly curved. Gonna curve in just a little bit and then come back out to touch where that tail starts to curve. And then down that belly, I'm just gonna make slightly curved lines. Okay, now on the back of your seahorse, we're gonna make a backwards C shape. Then from the edges of those C's, you're gonna make lines that come out past the edge of your seahorse's body, and they kind of go like out like that. So they kind of go out at kind of an angle so it gets wider. This is going to be one of our little seahorse fins. Now on one of the edges, I'm going to make 3 jumping lines. Now there's 2 kinds of jumping lines you can do. There's jumping up like this, jumping up, jumping up, jumping up, or you can jump down, jump down, jump down, jump down. We are going to jump down or towards our seahorse's body. So I'm going to start at the edge and I'm going to make 3 jumps. Jump down towards the body, jump down towards the body, jump down towards the body. And each time you come back up and make a little point. So we're jumping down, back up, down and back up, down and back up. Okay, and then from these 2 points in the middle, I'm just going to connect those back to my little seahorse edge of my fin. We're getting real close. We are almost done. All right, now we're gonna make the kind of like spiky fin shape on the like whole back half of our seahorse. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna make these little spikes that come off the top of his head, and you want them to always go straight out from whatever angle. You kind of want, like, imagine you're making a sun and you're making those like rays that we draw off of our sun, and as we're going around like this. When we make a sun, we make the little lines that we're making come off of it, curve around our sun with it. We're gonna do the same thing with our seahorse. So as we go around, we're following the curve and making those spikes come straight off. And they can kind of go behind I'm just gonna kind of skip where my little fin is. And once you get kind of towards the bottom, I start to make them a little bit shorter until I make one that's like pretty short right there at the very end. Okay, and then I'm going to connect those with jumping lines, the same kind of jumping lines that we did here, where we're gonna jump down and back up, down and back up. Okay, so watch. They're kind of just like little U-shaped lines connecting those two, each of those little spikes. U-shapes, U-shapes, connecting each of those. And this one, I'm just gonna kind of make it look like it goes back behind that little fin. Same here, make it just kind of look like it's going back behind that little fin. U-shapes, U-shapes. Okay, now when you guys get your Sharpie, you guys can do this too. And you can erase right now the part that we don't need. So for this circle up here, we're only gonna erase like a little tiny bit. Right where this like stomach part touches this line, I'm gonna make that circle go past it just a little bit. And then connect it to that little like seahorse, I don't know, like horn or mouth. And then, so I'm gonna erase this section too, and then I'm gonna come back around and stop it right there, because then we're just gonna continue this line all the way down. Okay, so the parts that you're gonna erase are this little part here, and you can do this now so you don't get confused when you're going over your lines with a Sharpie. You can erase that little part right there and this little part right here. So you can see it goes past this line, but just a little bit. And then I'm gonna connect this all the way down. And then I'm gonna erase this part that goes through my little fin. And then once you guys get your Sharpies, of course, after you go over everything with your Sharpie, you will go back and erase any pencil lines you still see. Like that. All right, that is it for the drawing of our seahorse. All right, the next step is to paint our seahorses. We're gonna use our neon tempera paints. You're gonna choose what colors you get to paint them, but I would try to use a lot of colors because this was the last one I painted and it looks so great. I've kind of got the red main color, then orange and yellow here, and then green and blue here. And then we'll do some oil pastel details a little bit later, but try to use as many colors as possible. I think I'm gonna start trying to dry off my brush because you don't really want extra water on there because then it makes your paint kind of streaky and watered down. So I kind of really want my main color of my seahorse to be green, I think. But you guys can decide. So we're gonna use these slightly smaller brushes because some of these spots that we're painting are kind of small. We're trying to stay in each little section with some nice painting. That looks cute. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush off really well, dry it on my paper towel so I don't water down my tempera paints. And then what colors do I want to use? Maybe his belly will be purple and blue. Okay, I'm making sure to do really nice, neat painting. We're painting in small spaces, so I'm making sure to paint with just the very end of my brush. If you're painting with, I'll press down over here. If you're painting with the end of your brush, you're able to make little skinny lines and go into small spaces. If you are painting with your whole brush, it makes a lot bigger lines and sections, right? So just paint with the very end of your brush and you're able to fit in those small spaces. Now, what colors do I want? I think I'm gonna do yellow. I'm gonna pick 2 more colors for these little spiky fins on the back of his body. And then I think I'm gonna do pink for my last color. All right, there's that super cute seahorse. You can see how I painted this one last time. They're both so cute. All we have left next time is to add our little oil pastel details, and we will cut them out and they'll be all done. All right, you guys, the last step of our seahorses is to add our neon oil pastels, just some fun details, and then we can cut them out. So this part shouldn't take us too long. I've got my neon oil pastels here. And I just like to choose colors that I know will show up on the colors that I have already going on. So maybe on this green, maybe I'll do like, ooh, this dark blue could be pretty. And then I'm just gonna try to think of some simple lines, simple shapes to make patterns on each of my little sections. So maybe on my seahorse, maybe I'll do just some little circle polka dots. And I'm kind of going back and forth so my lines are nice and dark. Okay, and just for fun, I might add a little bit of orange in there too. That's cute, kind of gives each little circle, I don't know if you guys can see it, it kind of gives each little circle a little highlight. All right, now maybe I need to come up with something for this. Sometimes I just like to mimic the shapes that are already there. So maybe on my like seahorse belly, we already had those like kind of little curve shapes. So maybe I'll just keep going with more little curve shapes. And I like that this yellow shows up on these dark colors. Cute. Okay, now I think, oh, wait, I want to do those colors on here too. So you can see I'm just kind of like mimicking the shapes that are already there and it looks pretty cool. Maybe on these, I'll just do some little straight lines that come out. That looks awesome! Yay, so now my seahorse has all kinds of adorable details and now he just looks a lot more complete. So the last step we are going to do is we are going to cut out our little seahorses. Now normally we would cut right on the line. Instead, we're gonna leave a little bit of the paper around the outside. So let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna cut this out. Okay, there, do you see that? Do you see how I kind of left a little bit of paper all the way around, but neatly, okay? It's kind of like the same amount of paper all the way around. It doesn't look sloppy, but then it kind of gives it a little outline. And since we did this with neon paper, it will glow